Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fantastic. Thanks for joining me for Try It Out Tuesday. Today we are playing with Stampendous. Now Stampendous actually had sent me quite a few products to play with, and I wanted to share some with you because they are amazing. We're going to use two products, including this cling stamp here. This is called the Cling Grunge Script Stamp Set. It comes with a free stencil, which is really nice. We're not using the stencil in our project today, but we are going to use these images here, actually all of them in our projects, for our background. So we're going to set those aside, and then for our main images we're using this cute little set. Now this is called the House Mouse Mini Set. It's the Everyday Mini Set. There's a few of these at the Stampendous shop, but there's 12 little 3x3 stamps. There is a little black ink cube for stamping your images. Now I didn't use this ink cube, but it is alcohol marker or Copic marker friendly, and it also works great for zig markers. So the ink in here won't bleed or smear, which is nice. So you get a little ink cube, and then you also get a 3x3 acrylic block. Since your stamps or images are 3x3, they'll fit perfectly. I thought this would make a great little travel kit. You just throw in your watercolor, your zig markers, and this kit in your purse, and you are good to go. You have a little crafting session. But so sweet. Now I wanted to show you each one of these images because they're adorable, and the sentiments are so sweet too. Like this one has a little chocolate with a little house mouse in there, but I couldn't. Because I realized I had a lot of glare going on. I was filming not during the day but during the evening, and so the glare was too much, and I didn't want to drive you crazy with that. So I did add this picture here if you wanted to stop the video and take a look at it. Cute little images in this little set. So we're going to use 3 of these for our project today, and I am going to color in with my Zig Clean Color Red Brush markers. I'm kind of going for a no-line watercoloring effect, so I'm going to be stamping on some Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to use my Oatmeal cookie ink pad here. We're going to stamp these images a few times. Now I want to tell you too, guys, that these little 3x3 stamps, all 12 of them, they're not photopolymer. No, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they might be a silicone. Now I've worked with silicone stamps before, and I haven't had no issues with them. Photopolymer are a better quality, and they're my preference, but I still like to play with any kind of images that are adorable. It doesn't affect what they use to create the stamp. Doesn't bother me at all. But I stamped the little bubble bath first with the little bubbles. They had a little image with 3 bubbles on there. Stamped it twice, and then I'm going to stamp the next one is 2 little house mouse with coffee cup and a cookie. That's the best of both worlds here. Stamping that a couple times too. Sometimes I think with the silicone stamps, if you season it with your Versamark ink pad, I think you get a better impression. But this one was just a 1 stamp, and I still got all the detail. Now I also want to let you guys know that over at the Stampendous shop, if you love coloring in house mouse, or kind of intimidated by the house mouse. Sometimes I get intimidated because all the little extra little details on the house mouse, but there's a coloring guide for these guys. Check it out. It is step by step. It tells you what colors to use for lots of different mediums. For your distress ink cubes, if you're coloring with those, it'll tell you which ones to use to color in it. And then Tombow markers, Copic, Spectrum Noirs, Prismacolors even, guys. So I'll leave that link down below if you guys want to check it out. But it was pretty helpful for me. But I'm going to play some music while I color. Again, I'm going to use my zig markers. I'm using some water and a paintbrush to spread the color out to make it a little bit more softer. But as I color, I'll play some music, and then when I'm done coloring, guys, I will catch you back. Okay, coloring is all done. Now, I lost a little bit of footage. I think my coloring took a very long time, but I did add a little bit more of darker shading to my little images here. But aren't they so sweet? And that guide over at Stampendous shop will help too, guys. Like it helped me. Okay, I cut each one of these out using a double stitch square die. And I thought about stamping the sentiment on my panels, but I thought we'll go ahead and stamp on black cardstock with Versamark ink and heat emboss with some white embossing powder. I went ahead and blocked those off and trimmed them out so all the sentiments are ready to go. And now we're going to work on our background. We're going to make 3 square cards today. They're 4x4, and I'm using my Oatmeal cookie cardstock. It's a craft cardstock that's so nice. I just created a card base with them. And originally I was going to stamp my background with this stamp set, the Clean Grunge script stamp set. I love this. Would be great for mixed media guys too. If you're into that, I think this would be a great set to have. But all I'm doing is stamping, flipping my image around or my stamp around, and then stamping on the bottom corner. So this is going to leave me a little bit of open area on the left and right, but it's going to give me a little bit of detail in my background. Originally I was going to go tone on tone, and thought, you know what, I wanted it to be a little bit more bold, so we're going to bring in some clear embossing powder. Since we stamp with Versamark ink, all we have to do is add our clear and use the heat gun to melt it, and it's just going to make it stand out a little bit more. And I like this much better. You could see the center of it overlapped a little bit. I wasn't worried about that at all because we're going to cover it with our image panel. Okay, we're going to do our next card base. This time we're going to use the little swirlies. I'm just going to stamp the top and the bottom of this panel. Went ahead and added clear embossing powder and melted that one, and then that one's ready to go. And then for our third one, we're going to use the scripty font here. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did with my first background card base. Stamp in the top left corner and then flip over my, my stamp and stamp on the bottom. So it's going to overlap in the middle, but that's okay. We'll ink it up once more and flip it around and stamp on the bottom. Add our clear embossing powder and melt it. And so we have just a little bit of a darker tone on tone here in our background. Okay, now from since my card bases are 4x4, you're only going to see about 1/2 inch on the card base. So again, I'm not too worried about it overlapping in the middle. Okay, now for this scripty font, I think the flowers are going to look really well, but I want to bring in a little more color. So I'm using some ribbon that coordinates with those flowers. The ribbon that I'm using is from Stampin' Up, and I don't think they have it anymore. I have a lot of products from Stampin' Up that have been discontinued, but it's actually seam binding, and I love the way seam binding is because it's thin and it ties real pretty bows. So I used some of that and just tied the bow to the left here. Now for my sentiments for the floral card, I'm just going to use the sentiment says relax and enjoy. I did pop it up with foam adhesive. We'll go ahead and add that one, and then that one looks great. We'll set that aside and work on our next one. Let's bring in our little swirls. I think the bubble bath would work great with the swirls, and we'll bring in some green seam binding for this one. For this one, I kind of added the bow at the very top like it was a present. And then we'll add our image panel, and all the image panels I'm popping up with foam adhesive. And we'll go ahead and add our sentiment to this one. The sentiment for this one says a little bubbly can fix anything. Isn't that cute? I just think that's adorable. I added that, popping that up with foam adhesive. And then we're going to go ahead and work on our third one. Third one has that kind of a brick texture in the background. For this, I have some teal ribbon that's about 1/4 inch wide, and we're going to slide it through the inside of the card and just wrap it around, tying a bow off to the left here. Just adding little details and splashes of color. If you're going to color in your images, I suggest going through your ribbon first, or your baker's twine, and kind of coordinating the main images with your ribbons. I didn't do that here. I have lots. You wouldn't believe how much ribbon I have. Actually, probably too much, but so it was easy for me. But if you are limited on ribbon, I would say just coordinate your coffee mug with the ribbon colors that you have. We'll go ahead and add this little guy in our sentiment. For this one, I chose, well, there's two sentiments for this one. One says cookies and you, and the bottom says make me, and then there's a smiley face, make me smile or happy. I thought that was so cute. Now, as I was looking at these, I was happy with the outcome. I was going to add some little bells and whistles, but instead I was looking at the stamp set too, the clean grunge script that we used for our background. There was two images that I didn't use, and this is one of them. It's the little envelope postage seal kind of a image. I thought we would add a little extra added detail in our background and our panel. So ideally you'd want to do this before you popped it up with foam adhesive and add your sentiment, but no worries, because since it is popped up, I can kind of slide some scratch paper underneath and do some stamping that way. So I'm just adding the envelope seal at first, and I looked at that and I thought, I really like that. There is one more image that's kind of a distressed looking image here, and I thought we'll add this too, just to fill in that background area. And what it's doing is tying our little house mouse that's in the center of the flower here with our sentiment and our background. I love the way this turned out. In fact, I didn't add any bells or whistles for anything else. I just think this turned out really neat. So I just slid my scratch paper underneath my panel. We'll do the same thing off here to the right, and then we'll ink up. I'm using my Memento ink to do this, just because it dries fast and I don't have to wait. I don't want it to smear. If I use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, I was afraid it would smear. But isn't that nice? Kind of gives it a vintage feel. I did the same thing to this little guy, my coffee mug and cookie card. Added the little round seal, and then our little vintage style distressed image here. I love the way this turned out. And then we'll do the same thing with our last one. Just adding that round circle seal, and then a few of this larger image here. And then those are my projects for today. I encourage you guys to check out how to color in the mouse. Again, the link's down below. Actually, everything that I use today, I'll link down below for you guys. But thanks for joining me for Try It Out Tuesday. I wish you a fabulous rest of the week, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. We will see you again real soon.